action. Anyway, let's catch up to
Yeah.
since the last time we spoke. I mean, you've been really busy. So
Oh my God. We developed the app that will. It's called AI Sensor. Website's going live this weekend, and the app might even be live this weekend. But we have to get approval from the Apple Store. It can take 2 days. Can take 2 weeks.
right,
This was the hardest project we ever undertook, and it was predicated on the fact that when I left BodiTrack to develop AI for shaft fitting technology, over the next 3 years, the company ended up going bankrupt. And they were a medical company that was on a side basis, sidebar, built pressure mats for golf, which is what I started with them. But I was getting a lot of negative comments from people because they were kind of pissed off at me because they thought, I owned it, which I did not. But nonetheless, I was the guy that started it with the investors there, and they gave me a 3% stake in the entity, which I never got. I'm like everybody else. I didn't get any money, but
right,
anyways, it weighed on me. Um, and then one of the competitors who makes sensor force plates, they went around to all our former integrated partners and they said, look, BodiTraks going broke. They're lousy, boom, boom, boom. And they convinced everybody to drop the software support. So it left a void in the market that I didn't feel comfortable with. And so I ended up talking to the original software engineer of BodiTrack, Grant Dirksen. And, we formulated a strategy and we said, let's go for it. And in record time, in less than 4 months, we created an app that will work with all Wi-Fi enabled body tracks going back 11 years. Imagine going back to
right,
a
right.
track, let's say a large launch monitor company went out of business, and you could now go back 11 years and make that launch monitor look like a modern time machine. And that's what we did with this app. It's incredible. I just got off the line with Billy Martin, one of the top guys at Nicholas Golf in Orlando. He's using it. We got so many guys using it, and I got to be honest with you, this was the toughest project we ever did. Um, Going into the deal with Grant, I said to him, I said, look, here's the situation. No matter what I say or what you say, we agree to work it out because, when you get a guy like me who doesn't know much about code and a guy like Grant who knows everything about code but nothing about golf, there's going to be conflicts there. And because I don't understand quite what he has to go through to develop the app, but I've worked with Grant previously for a long time. So we had a good relationship. And I'll tell you what, Ralph, it is sensational. But from and we're not charging a lot for the app. We're charging $150 for an app that normally be worth $500 a year. But the reason we're doing that is, honestly, from the bottom of my heart, we just want to help all those guys out, and I kind of wanted to clear my name because there's other things I want to do, and I didn't want people to have that. I didn't want to have that hanging over me. So, but I, you know, I got two pictures of my blood pressure during the app and after the app, and I've gone from red, almost dead, to like almost normal, and it was like hell. And they say a woman says you can't understand what's like the pain to give birth, but two things. Number one, we did an IPO in 2000. I can tell you that was painful as hell, and with Jazz Golf, and this was just about as painful.
It's first of all, kudos to you. I mean, it's a testament to your intensity and your
Thank
desire
you.
to show face because you said you got a lot of criticism, but it's okay. I'll make this right, and you wound up doing what to do. And you know the second thing is to turn something around in 4 months. As an entrepreneur myself, I realize that it's not easy. It's just not easy.
Wow, here is the biggest issue, Ralph. So we got
Mm,
4 generations of body tracks, and they all run at different speeds.
mm,
So we have to match. Now and then we built on top of that. We built a sensor replacement that is way lighter, way faster, way cheaper. And I'm using the word cheap because I want to dramatically polarize the price point. We used to sell these things for $3,500. Now we're going to sell sensor replacements for $750. and they're better and they're faster, and they work succinctly with the app. But more significantly, the app goes back, and we're gonna 11 years, but we're also gonna be able to go back to the original BodiTraks, which did not have Wi-Fi capabilities. And we found a person in Florida, John Clark, that owns SwingView Pro, that uh, the BodiTrak will work perfectly with, and he only charges like $200 a year for it. So we have built a comprehensive solution for anybody who has a BodiTrak. And I got to tell you, thank you to all the people that make force plates that told everybody on the planet how shitty BodiTrak was, because I can tell you that was that was the primeval driving force that motivated me. I'm looking at my wife right now, and she doesn't think I'm the hardest worker in the world. But when she saw me put my effort into this, she says, "You're beat. You're tired." And we were, and I am a hard worker. But regardless of that, this was the this is the most comprehensive comeback. And I'm a historian buff for golf manufacturing. I mean, go back to the days of Hogan, how AMF turned it into a kind of not so good company, lost it to the Japanese industry, came back to the United States, and it just failed. Same thing with Olimar. You know, you can name them. There's there the it's the path in the golf business is blazed with tombstones, and this is a I'm not looking for heroics and I'm not looking for accolades, but I can tell you in my heart, this is the comeback story of the century in the golf business.
Well, heroes aren't, these extraterrestrials. Heroes are just ordinary people that accomplish extraordinary things. So
Yeah.
when you have no choice but to, you figure it out. I mean, that's basically it, right?
Well, it's funny because there's a great book of Saving Red October or something like that. The in the sub, the guy's talking to Russia, and he tells them that they're going to switch sides, and it doesn't give the guys in the sub any choice. They have to now succeed, or they're going to get killed by another Russian sub. And It's a great book. It's a paradox to what we did. We had no choice. It was either get it done or your name's mud in the industry. And
Yeah.
so we made, and you know, uh, this is like being 10 down with around the play.
Army
And
10. Army
yeah,
10. Army 10.
I want to kick Fist DeMarco's ass one more time before I die.
I actually I actually beat a guy at a club championship, uh, 9-8. So
Yeah. Did you really?
the guy was talking to you.
Oh man, that's funny. Well, that's what this was like. And if, you know, to anyone who's listening, um, we really, we really did this because we wanted to do it to help all the body track guys.
Well, it serves that price point for the independent contractor, so you have a guy on the range who's paying for his mat time, buying his balls, and he's got to work his economy around this, so that price point, I find it ideal for.
Well,
for
I gotta, I not to cut you off,
No.
but
Okay.
this is interesting, and because it's legitimate. Like, you know what people don't know is that the the quality of the data doesn't necessarily improve because of the speed that the data is running at. It's how you take that information in the software and convert it into an image that makes the hardware good. And Grant and I, because we were the guys there that started BodyTrack, we learned from every single changes that we had made in the past. And because I had so many integrated partners I had worked with, I know what they did. So we improved everything. You know, this is not like we didn't take parts off of this car and this truck or that vehicle to make a new car. What we did was we wrote the entire book. And then Grant, you know, he's he's just one of these guys that you just don't see this often. He's like the guy developing algorithms for financial institutions sitting in a dark closet. So I have to take him out for air now and then and bubble him up a little bit because, um, but he figured out a way to make the mat lighter, at a fraction of the cost, more durable, and isn't this how technology should be? I mean, why the hell does the smartphone cost more today when the parts get cheaper, when the robotics are replacing human beings to make them? Things should get cheaper, not more expensive. You take a look at what Henry did at FlightScope. He built an incredible launch monitor for $1,200. Now, the only reason the market won't accept that is because there's a whole bunch of guys that have got $25,000 truck mats. But if you take those two launch monitors and put them side to side, I call bullshit on anybody who tells me that that is not as good. It's just as good. It's crazy. And that's
Yeah,
what technology should do, is bring the price down, not go up.
I agree wholeheartedly, and, the fact that uh, optimize the hardware, right? Now, compare comparatively speaking, how does that perform versus this,
Better.
$10,000, you know what I mean?
Better. Like,
But what
honest to God, it's better. Like
Really?
like I'm gonna use the name because if they hear it, maybe they'll get inspired to beat my ass, which will make me better in the process. But Sensor's Edge called me up. The guys that own Sensor's Edge called me up, when they heard that I might come back to the trade, and they said, "Look, they basically said, your sensor runs slow. It's not very good, not reliable." And I just listened for an hour as the guy told me this, and then he said, "Well, why don't you sell our stuff and write your own script software?" And I said, "Well, let me think about that." I thought about that for a millisecond after I hung up the phone. I talked to Grant. I said, "Let's kick their ass," and I called him back, and I said, "We appreciate the opportunity, but we're going to do our own thing." And
Okay.
since then, I've actually had guys pull me aside. I had one guy, I can't prove this, and I'm not going to even try, but he threw six figures at me not to get back in the game. And I said, no, I, low. I said, no. I'm thinking, well, you know, let's just fix this for the guys. We had 9,000 customers with BodyTraks, which is a lot. Put things in perspective. I happen to know with certainty that StringCat is around 1,000. And so I want to go back, help those guys, um, and then we'll figure things out next because there's other applications now that I'm back in it, like gait analysis for treadmills, concussion analysis for balance assessments, and then we also have a path. I mean, in the future, you won't even need a sensor to do these things, but that future is going to be a ways away.
Now, yeah, that being said, and now that we're going into the future, I know Henry, I know Jesse Ortiz, good friend, uh, Olimar. So right now I was talking to some guys they're the competitors to Sportsbox AI, and they're in Europe, right? Now, I subscribe to this thing. I've never used it, but they were talking about generating those, or quantifying those forces via the iPhone.
Yeah, I've seen it. We actually know about that, and there's a guy named Dirk in Germany that was working with Jake there, and I like the technology. I like the idea, but it's machine learning. In other words, they have these guys that take thousands and thousands of swings on force plates, AMTI force plates, which is the gold standard of pressure mapping, and then they take that comparatively to the swing analysis, launch monitor data, etc., and then they build a model, and then you send a video to the app, and it populates a approximation of the forces. Uh, it's possible to do that, but there's a whole bunch of reasons why it won't be accepted. Primarily because the market has learned how to use force plates and pressure mats, and they also like the independent data that they get with launch monitors. I mean, quite often in the market today, it's not what is the latest and greatest; it's what the market is willing to accept. So all these guys have an investment either in monitors like launch monitors and or force plates and or pressure mats and or similar or both. And they're not going to tell everybody in the world, hey, for free, it's better. Come on, they're not going to do it. And
Right.
so there's going to be a lot of pushback. Having said that, having said that, we do physical screening with Pro Screen AI 3D. It's really good. It's exceptional, and it's not been well accepted in the market, although it has been accepted by some of the top instructors in the world, guys like Nick Bionti, Tom Stickney, Mike Campasato. I mean, there's guys that are on the fringe of being sort of the next Jim McLean in the arena, looking for, what should I do to make my lesson structure even better? And we believe sincerely that, with pressure mapping, we can identify what side of the body there's a restriction on, but we still can't determine what the physical issues are. But with ProScreen AI 3D, we can succinctly determine what are the top 6 dysfunctional regions in an athlete's body. And that to me is the future. That's where we're going to go because 3D is bullshit. Let me explain. Uh, there's no optimal 3D pattern for an athlete. For example, if you have a physical restriction in your body, and if you have an SI joint, the responsible joint for vertical forces, what value is it uh, to try to get a golfer into a particular 3D model if you don't know what that athlete's limitations are? All you're going to do is hurt him. So it's the other way around where you have to understand the guy's physicality to be able to adjust your teaching program for that athlete so that they can modify their teaching program to optimize the pressure pad and then validate that with launch. That's how it has to go. And that's not me talking. I mean, yes, it's me saying that, but
Yeah.
it's also people that are in the field teaching for a living at very high levels. When I say high levels, I don't necessarily mean like elite touring pros. I'm talking about people that have money that don't care what they spend to get better, but they are beginning to understand that if you don't know your physical limitations, that you're really 3D is useless. But there is an optimal pressure pattern because our tagline with AI sensor is zero restrictions. Because the less restrictions you have in your pressure trace, the more optimal you're going to be. And I'll tell you why. I'll give you the answer. Because as you know, as a good player, uh, the hands choke. I mean, if you start thinking about positional golf and you're under pressure and you try to put your hands there, I mean, I'm going to use a bad word. You're going to fuck it up.
Yeah.
And we've all choked under pressure because, God damn it, we're trying to do shit with our hands. The hands don't work that way.
Sure.
If you can think less by knowing where your pressure is at the right time and just go this, that, boom, take a swing, let your hands flow and do what they're good at, you'd be surprised what they can do. I mean,
Right.
um, everybody thinks the hands go like this. Bullshit. I mean, they don't roll over at impact. I mean, I don't. I have a great mind. I forget everything, but I do remember a really tough shot I hit at a Q school on a severe slope in very deep rough, and I had to hit it over water. I can't remember the club I used, but it was long, like a 5 iron or some shit like that. I was so nervous because this was to get to the next stage. I don't remember the shot, but I remember my hands going out like this because I got stuck in the long grass and my hands just naturally flipped open to compensate the club closing. And I'll never forget that shot because it occurred to me. I wasn't thinking about my hands. I was thinking about the target. And I got it. I hit it pretty close. And I ended up going to the next stage in Phoenix. But anyways, long story short, that's what pressure's so good at. We identify restrictions, we free up the hands, and then with the LiDAR technology in ProScreen AI 3 on a medical basis, we can identify the physical limitations, and that is the future of teaching. 3D, in my opinion, bullshit.